We didn't have to have a bombardier in our air. That's why there's only 9 in that. It should have been 10, but we didn't have a bombardier. So what happens is these 7 airplanes go over the target. The first airplane has the bombardier. Our nose gunner in our plane has a push button. And you're flying stacked. In other words, the first plane is higher. So when he sees the bombs come out of that plane, he trips our airplane and our bombs fall. So it's just one bombardier for 7 airplanes.
Wow.
And it worked.
Did you tell the boys how old you were?
What then?
Did you tell them how old you were at the time?
How old is
You're
he?
18, right? You got drafted at 19. He was
No, I
19.
was 18.
I thought you were 19.
I came out of high school and they drafted.
And they did grab you right away, actually.
Wow.
Yeah, I know. Do you still have to register? Do you still have to get a draft when you turn 18?
Oh, no.
No.
No, not
I
anymore,
think
right?
it's probably just automatic.
Refuse
it
to
might
go.
be,
Refuse to go. Run away.
I
Go to
think
Canada.
I think there is a thing that you could do is like you have to state yourself as like a pacifist or something, like saying something along those lines, but you have to have evidence to back it up, and I think that's the only way of getting out of it.
So much bull. But as I say, it was interesting. You have fighters, of course. You know what an ME-109 is?
He probably does. He's more of a plane guy.
It's a fighter plane.
BF-109.
German fighter plane.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
The 190, the 110. Well, the 109s were, they wait. You see, you're 7 airplanes. You're like a little family. And you can, I'm in the tail, so I can see them out in the back. They're just following us. They're waiting.
They have a bunch of like BF-109s following you,
Sure.
waiting.
Oh,
Is
yes,
this-
they're all
Scary.
waiting. Occasionally we used to call him the professor. He was the good guy who knows how to fly a plane. The other kid, at that point, Germany was already losing the war. And they didn't have many pilots then. So the professor, he rolls over and he peels off and he comes in at the tail. And of course, I can wait for him, and as soon as he's close enough, I'm firing at him. He sees the bullets coming and he gets away. But then when the other guys come down, they're not as experienced as
They
me.
come right.
Yeah, they come straight. They don't know what the hell they're doing. And I got one. But you know, it's a funny thing. When you come back from a mission, you get to be briefed. And there's 7 airplanes, you know, of the 400. And each guy goes to a desk and they say, well, what did you do? Well, I shot a plane down. That was me. The guy in the next airplane was shooting at the same plane that I was shooting at.
And he claims that he did it.
He says, I shot a plane down. So right away, you've got 2 down, and you don't have 2 down. It could have been 4 guys firing at him, and the guy that's trying to get down says, oh, we're winning this great. We've got 4 airplanes down.
Yeah, and that's not really the
That's
case.
not the way it was. It's not true. Another point, you know what a contrail is? You see the jets that fly around and have the
Yeah.
white
Yep.
contrail?
Yeah.
Hated that. Hated it with a passion because
It blinds you.
no, they come right up the contrail. You don't see them. And they see the contrail, so they know that they're coming up to a bomber. And you don't know it. All of a sudden you see some kind of a flash of a bullet coming through, you know, and you just fire into the cloud. You don't see the enemy, you just fire at him. It's horrible. And what's worse than fighters is the flak. Flak is what they shoot up at you.
Like the anti-aircraft.
The 88s.
Oh yeah.
See, fighters don't come in when you're over the target because they don't want to get shot down by their own flak. So
Yeah.
they disappear. Now you go over the target and you got flak, which is horrible. It's
Yeah.
horrible. At one point I was sitting, you can't do anything because nobody's firing at you. I was just sitting there looking out the back. I have flak suit to come. He calls the pilot, Jack, what is it? I'm stuck. At that altitude, the tube was aluminum. He stuck to the aluminum tube. So I didn't even think about it. I said, what means stuck? Get the hell out of there. Get back to your turret. So now the engineer comes back, he starts laughing. Well, the engineer was from Pine Bluff, Arkansas. He laughed at anything. He says, "Hey, it's turning blue. And it's cold, you know." And now he's crying like a baby. He says, and he couldn't get out, you know. And now we haven't gotten over the target yet. That was from the IP. Jack says, "Can you do anything, you know?" So we all carried, we had heated gloves and a heated muffler and, of course, heated suit. So I took my muffler and I flipped it. It's like about from here to middle of that floor there. So I threw the muffler, and the engineer plugged it into the electrical outlet, and he tried to wrap it around the offending part. Didn't work. Now we're over the target, and we're getting hit by flak, and he's stuck against an airplane, and what can you do? So anyway, Jack calls me and says, "You better give him a morphine shot." And we all carried morphine ampoulettes. I had about 5 or 6 of them in my pocket. So I got out of the turret, I went back, I took an ampule, I found a piece of skin wherever I could see skin, pushed it in, I squeezed it, and I gave him a morphine shot. I must have given him about 3 or 4 of those. And he's still standing there while we're going over the target. As soon as we left the target, Jack peeled over. You know what I'm saying when you say he racked it over? You know, when you peel off and go down? We want to get to a lower altitude where it's cold. And we did. And at that point, we were alone. You know what the Tuskegee Airmen were?
Oh, wow.
They were all black
Yeah.
fighter pilots, P-51s.
They
All
were like
black.
Yeah.
speed planes, weren't they?
Huh?
They were speed planes too. They just carried the pilot, right?
That's it, just a fighter, just in one
And they
place.
were elite
So
flyers.
Jack called up the Tuskegee guys and says, we're going down and we're alone. So you can hear the fighter saying, "We're coming with you, brother, don't worry." And they peeled off and they followed us right down to a lower altitude. And we finally got Don Little unglued from his aluminum. Had to take him to the hospital.
The good news is he got married and had a
Yeah,
family.
he thought he was going to be impudent, but he did get married. Where did he come from? He was from someplace too, but he did have kids. This was the engineer, Charlie. This was the navigator, co-pilot, pilot, waist gunner, me, stupid, radio man and nose gunner.
And I think the pilot was all of 26.
He was 26.
Yeah.
Did you guys see that? Did you guys look at these pictures yet?
Yeah.
What is this? Is this a
Oh, that was,
submarine?
I worked for Fairchild. You know what
No,
Well, you
but,
wouldn't know.
yeah, that's all
Anyway,
on
Fairchild, they got a contract with the Navy to build a submarine.
That's what I thought.
That submarine is only 40 feet long. It would probably fit in here. And I worked on it. The inside, not building it.
By Leah, don't you know, Saturday? Maybe, possibly.
Yeah, maybe.
I didn't know I had that in there.
That's not-
But there are some pictures of
That's probably from the 50s.
the bombings. You know what I think of?
Are those, is that, I don't know, is that the beginning of when they started bombing, or is that just,
That's probably where they dropped them. Yeah, that's bomb hits. I must say, we had very poor records for bombing. We couldn't hit the side of a bomb with the doors open. Well, we never hit anything we aimed for.
Sounds like me. I have the worst name.
Yeah, see, they're supposed to hit here. They're throwing them in the water.
Did you tell them about the one and only time you had to jump out of the plane?
Ooh. I wake up at night sometimes. We got hit bad at Vienna. Vienna was the worst target to hit. We got hit bad, lost an engine, no connection between the front and the back. I couldn't talk to the pilot. Don Little, he would bail out like that. He didn't give a damn. So he's gone, the other guy's gone, I'm in the back alone. And I don't like jumping out of airplanes. I don't even like heights that much. But anyway, the back of the airplane has an opening. It's about that long, that wide, and that's where the camera was but we dropped that out. So now I'm thinking, I have to get out of this airplane because I don't know if there's a pilot. Am I alone? You know, am I going to die in this thing? So I figured I have to get out. So I put my chute on, which is only about like that, and I looked down through this hole, and you can't see anything. It's all clouds. You've been in jets, haven't you?
Mm-hmm.
When you look out and all you see is white. Well, that's all I could see. So I said, well, I'm trying to rationalize this thing. If the airplane's going that way, the wind is coming this way. So if I jump now, the wind is going to take my feet and I'm going to hit my face on the other side of that hole. Wrong. It doesn't work that way. So I figured, well, let me go on the other side so that I'm facing back. Now the wind is going to take my heels and I'll slide out. I said, that doesn't make much sense either. But anyway, the back of an airplane is full of 50 caliber bullet shells. You know what a 50 caliber?
Yeah.
Well, the floor is full of it, and they're all rattling around. So I'm walking from front to back. I did it twice. The third time I went this way, I stepped on a bunch of shells, and I start slipping. I say, ooh, ooh. I said the very bad word. I slipped. I'm looking at the top of the airplane, and next thing I know, I'm out of the airplane. And I see the plane going that way, and I'm going this way. I said, oh, God, and give me strength. I had oxygen tank that I had glued on here and all the other stuff, and now I'm just falling. The airplane gone. It disappeared. It's going 300 miles an hour, but I'm only going like 33 miles an hour down. And I don't know where I am. And the clouds are coming up, but they're a ways away yet. So I'm falling and falling, and I didn't want to pull the chute yet because they said, try to pull your ripcord when you're going feet first. Because if you pull it when you're going head first, it's going to snap you. You know, you might get hurt. So, and how do you move? I couldn't move. Anyway, the clouds are starting to come closer and closer, and finally I go through the clouds. You know, this white thing, I just went right through it, and I see things like that. You know, squares, pieces of property, and roads, and then railroads, and I said, but where the hell am I? Am I going to be captured, or am I going to they're going to shoot me? What are they going to do? I had no idea where I was. I go down further, and I figured, well, this is it. The oxygen mask is not going to help me. Funny thing, you take the oxygen mask, it's a 2-pound bottle, and you throw it. Now you're going down, and the mask is going down. It just stands out there. I'm thinking,
Like a cartoon.
it's weird, you know. You think you're going to throw it, it's going to fall, but it doesn't. It stays with you for a while. Then you go faster than it. Now that I get down, and I finally grab this ripcord, which she still owns.
Oh, wow.
I didn't hear this story until I was probably in my 30s. We're sitting around the dinner table and he's telling us this story, which we'll finish. And at the end he said they had to pry the ripcord out of my hands. That's how
I
scared
wouldn't
he was.
let go of
So
it.
I said, he goes, yeah, I kept it. And I said, you did? Where is it? He goes, oh, it's hanging downstairs in my workshop. I said, oh my goodness. So I kept it. I kept the ripcord because it was
Oh my
like, oh my
gosh.
God, if it
When
weren't
I
for that
pulled
ripcord, I would
this
be
thing-
here.
Yeah.
There are 2 chutes. One is a 3-foot chute that opens up, just pops out, and it pulls the big one out. When I pull this little thing comes out, and immediately in my mind I says, gotta be kidding, gotta be kidding. But then the big one came out, and boom, it hit you. And my shoes fell off because of they mentioned stopping, and I wet myself. What the hell not? What else am I gonna do?
You must have been scared to death. You didn't know where you were going to land.
I didn't know where I was. Now I get closer to the ground. You can't go back up anymore. So I'm checking everything. I have a 45, which I'm not going to use. What am I going to shoot? And they have a thing they give you in your pocket here. It's like a credit card accordion, and it says, I'm an American. You know, so I took that out, held it. The gun, I said, well, if I have a gun, they're going to shoot me. So I'm going to get rid of it. And as I got closer, I see people with guns looking at me. They're looking. They know I'm coming down. And I said, oh, Jesus. So anyway, at about 1,000 feet, I threw the 45, giving them, you know, I'm not going to fight you. And then I dropped this thing. I'm an American. And I landed going backwards.
Oh.
I didn't know how to turn. The chutes were round. They're not like today, they're rectangular.
Mm.
I didn't know how to turn it around, so I'm going backwards. I hit on my heels and my ass, and then I went, and it's dragging me a little bit, then it stops. And I'm just sitting there, I'm thinking, oh God, don't know if they're gonna shoot me. So when the parachute finally stopped and I couldn't move, when you're hanging in the harness has got, there's no more blood left in your legs, so I just laid there. I'm looking up, and all of a sudden, there's a woman's face comes from the back, looking down at me, and she had a beard and a mustache.
Was it France?
It wasn't that bad, but I thought it was. And I figured, well, she had a cigarette. She gave me a cigarette. I figured, well, they're not going to shoot me.
Mm.
But she starts taking all my clothes. She took the parachute, the harness, the silk suit, the bomber jacket, everything, gloves, everything. And they took that, left me with suntans. And the guy came over and says, sit over, the bumper of the running board of a car. And I was shaking. I said, where the hell am I? They don't understand me. I don't understand them. I found out later that I was in Yugoslavia on the island of Vis. I looked it up on my iPad. And they were partisans, thank God. And they kept giving me cigarettes and stuff. And then I hear a Jeep coming or a car coming. And I hear this voice, hello, Yank. This is Englishman with the big curly mustache. And he says, we know you were coming. He said, we got notification. So he took me to this British fighter field right there. And they gave me some clothes, they fed me, and they said, where are you from? And I told them from Lecce in Italy. He said, we'll get you back to your base. They put me in it's called a Fairy Fighter, an English plane. It's two-place, front and back. And they flew me back to my base. At that point, I didn't know any other crew where the hell they were all back already. I was the last one back because of my dingling around trying to get out of the airplane until I fell out.
It turns out the pilot was still.
But the pilot was pissed off, you wouldn't believe. He says, why did you do that? I said, what do you mean? I didn't know you were gonna. He brought the airplane back.
Did other people jump out too?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you must have been mad at everyone then.
Yeah.
But he was mad because he is the captain and he tells you when to bail.
Mm.
Give me a break.
At age 26.
Yeah. Yeah, no, he's not going to tell anybody anything. But anyway, for that experience, they sent us all for a week in Capri. You know what Capri is?
In Italy. Yeah.
I
That's
bet
in
they know.
southern.
You know where Capri is in Italy?
It's an island, isn't it? Off of Italy?
I
It's
have
in an
no
island?
idea.
Yeah.
It's a big resort nowadays, man.
Beautiful.
It's beautiful. Well, they sent us there for a week, rest camp.
And then
Nice.
they put you back up in the.
Then they put us back up again.
Yeah.
But I was only supposed to fly 25 missions. And I thought I would only like about 3 and I would be gone. So I get to 24, and I says, God, it's going to be almost there. A notification on a bulletin board is raised to 30. And then they raise it to 40. And then they raised it to 50. So I had 47. I never would have got out. They just keep screwing you around. But I wouldn't have it any other way, except that it is scary. When they're firing at that ME-109, that guy was good. They have a cannon in the front of that ME-109. It's a 20 millimeter cannon. And the guys just say, if you can see the flash, it's coming right at you. If you can see the flash of, and he's coming, I see boom, 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 boom. I said, but it's nowhere near you. It could be that far away and you would miss you. But when he does that, and of course you're firing at him too. What the hell, why not? Oddly enough, the government says only fire in bursts of 3. You got to have 2 50s. You're supposed to go 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. Give me a break.
Yeah, right.
When he's firing at me, I got the triggers held down, full bore, but I have plenty of ammunition.
And it's so scary to think that there's nothing but letters to write home, that, you know, your parents really didn't know really
No,
what was
my
going
father
on,
never
where
knew that
your
I was in
brother
the Air
was.
Force.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
He wouldn't let me,
Yeah.
because he was in World War I, and he knew what it was all about.
Sure.
And as I was telling him, my brother and I got drafted at the same time. We went the same time. And my father says, Jesus, 2 sons, I'm going to have to give them up.
Yeah.
And it tore him apart. You know.
My dad served in Vietnam.
Yeah.
Your dad is there now?
That's
No, he
horrible.
did
He
serve.
was.
Served in
Yeah, in Vietnam. He was a Marine in Vietnam and stuff. He doesn't really talk about the war very often.
We
though.
find a lot of people don't. A lot of
Yeah, I know a lot of,
you know.
well, not, our crew, after the war, we all had reunions. Every year, we would go to one of the states. They're all over the United States. I was the only one from New York.
Okay.
So, and we took our wives, so we were 18 people
Yeah.
meeting at a hotel, and then we'd have these, the women would go out and do things, and we would bullshit about the war.
I think the
Sure.
experience of being in the Army Air Corps and being from that height is very different than being on the ground
Sure.
and being on a ship.
Yeah.
Just a very different experience. Not, you know, not to take away from what you went through, because I'm very happy you lived. I wouldn't be here
Yeah.
if you didn't. But,
You know,
yeah.
I was the armorer gunner on the plane, which meant I was in charge of the bombs. Not putting them in,
Yeah.
but each bomb, I don't know if you know it, has a propeller in the front.
Okay.
And the bombs they're not inactive until that propeller comes off. Now, when you drop a bomb, the propeller starts turning because the wind is making it turn. And when it turns enough turns, it falls off. Now the bomb is armed. Then it can explode. Now, if you have to take a cotter pin out from that propeller. If you don't show these cotter pins when you come back, you don't get credit for the mission.
Really?
Isn't that ridiculous?
Wow, you gotta save the continent.
Yeah.
So I would
Right.
have to go through the bomb bay, coming from the back to the front, turn around, take each cotter pin out, and put it in my pocket. This side, that side. We only carried 800 pounders or something like that. And when I got to the end of the bomb bay, the navigator was sitting there, and I would give him these 8 cotter pins, and he would put them in an it's like a comedy of errors. Put them in an envelope and bring them back to the base. So now I turn around to go back to my turret. As I'm going back now, I'm facing the bombs. What do you think? Is a bomb with a propeller turning like crazy?
Oh my
It started turning because the bomb bay doors are open. The wind hit it, and evidently it started turning, and once it got loose, it turned enough, and it fell off.
Oh no.
So I called Jack on the intercom. I says, Jack, we have a live bomb in the bomb bay. He says, what are you talking about? I said, well, the prop came off it. He says, well, get rid of it.
Absolutely.
How do I get rid of it?
Yeah.
I do have a way of, there's a thing that holds the bomb here and here, and it's a shackle. And you can trigger it and maybe push the bomb out, but it's not the lowest one. There's one below it. So I trigger the shackle. Now it could fall, but it's not falling. So I get up on the bomb bay has a walkway which is 9 inches wide, and then it goes out, you know. And there are struts. You can't walk through there with a parachute on. It's impossible. So I had to walk there without a parachute, open bomb bay door, and if I'd fallen out, that would have been it.
Sure.
So now I grab a hold of these rails, and I can't do it today because I'm too old. I would get up and I kicked the bomb, you know, not very bad, but I pushed it, and it would rock, but it wouldn't fall. It must have been frozen or whatever it was. And Jack called me and said, did you get rid of it? I said, not yet. So he said, well, try harder. So I got up there and it finally fell, hit the bomb below it, and rolled over and fell out of the airplane. I said, thank God.
Oh, sure.
Lately, very lately, a few years, I start thinking, where do these bombs go?
I know.
You know, I mean, we're not over a target. Could have been anywhere. Like the time we had to get rid of weight, because the pilot said, we've got to make this plane light to get back to the base. So a 50 caliber gun weighs like about 40 pounds, and there's a lot of them on an airplane. So we're throwing all these guns out, and now I'm thinking, some poor bastard is on his sleeping in bed, and here comes boom right through his house.
Oh,
You
wow.
never know, right?
Mm.
We had to get rid of the ball turret. Now that ball turret is quite large, and you can, take away these clamps and everything, and the ball goes out. Now some poor guy is going to land on somebody.
That's crazy.
I thought it was very touching
What?
from an emotional point of view that you and your brother went out to basic training on Long Island together because they were drafted together, and they were in barracks next to one another. So every morning they would see each other.
Yeah.
And my father's brother was 3 years older than him and protected him. My father doesn't like shots, and of course you have to go down this
Yeah,
gauntlet
they
of
give you
being
shots.
injected in both arms. And his brother would be ahead of him, going, "It's going to be okay. It's going to be okay." And then one day he didn't see his brother, and he asked what happened, and they said, "Oh, they shipped out." So he
I just ran like hell down to the rail. This is in Brookhaven Laboratory. It's a big area. And I ran down to the station, and the train had gone out. And I never saw my brother for another, 3 years?
3 years. So, when you think about that, right, how, and I also think it was very touching that the night before you two boys shipped out, my father's mother had passed away when he was about 12. His father slept in the same bed with his two boys because he knew he wasn't going to see him. You might not ever see him again, and yet alone not be in touch. You didn't have anything to be in touch with.
Yeah.
How cute
It's terrible. It's hard.
I know, right?
It sounds glorious. To me, when I first went into the Air Force, the Air Force song, "Off we go into the wild blue yonder." It's right? That's bullshit.
Yeah.
Especially like when you come back from a mission and the landing gear comes down and we're in the waist and you can see the wheels. And you look and there's a hole in the tire. Like I said, "Jack, we got a blown tire." He says, "Oh, great." So now he brings both landing gears up, which means you're going to have to come in on skidded in. Yeah, that's the only way you can come in. So we come back to the base, and of course they all know the ambulances are waiting and everything. And he just landed on the belly, skidding and noise and dirt. My God, because it's very quiet before he hit. He cuts all the switches, the props all stop, and it's just. And I'm looking down through the openings, and I see the ground coming up. All of a sudden, you hang on, no seatbelts.
You're gonna hope he doesn't go too much into nose.
Yeah. If it knows it's over, you could get killed. And it happened many times. We used to get hit quite a few times. And landing gears are horrible. Those tires were nothing. And one time he landed in the water, but so close to the shore. He landed parallel to the beach, if you will. This was in northern Italy, someplace. And he landed it, did a nice job, it skidded on the water, and right away, when the water must have been about that deep, so when the airplane went down further, it hit sand, and it slid nicely. It was so good that when the wing fell on the ground, we got out through the roof. We didn't even get our feet wet. We just walked along the wing and dropped off.
You couldn't make it back to the airstrip or anything. You had the.
Well, they always send somebody. Radios they were pretty good in those days, and they send a truck to pick you up. They did pretty good at that point.
Did they just leave? What did they do with the plane? Did they just leave it there because they're too busy?
Yeah, that's why we never had our plane painted. Because the pilot says it's not worth it. You spend $200 having a plane painted. You take it up on a mission, you might get it shot down. You lost your $200 and the picture.
Dad, he's leaving. He's going to leave.
Well, it's nice meeting you, sir. Thank you for serving
I'm
the
sorry, I
country.
can't raise my right arm that well.
My father had polio when he was young.
Oh, yes.
And
But
that seems
way
to have,
back.
yeah,
I
when
was
he
5
about
years old.
5. And they wanted to amputate the arm, but his uncle took him out to a Chinese doctor in Chicago and said no. And he said exercise.
Exercise.
So he exercised, but scarily enough, it came back in
Just
the 70s.
About
Not polio, the
the fact of the
sensation.
arm, yeah.
he
But I
came-
was so good at practicing throwing. My brother used to bring me pails of stones, and I would throw stones. I got so good, I could knock a toothpick off a railing with a stone, and I was a pitcher too. So I was fully right-handed and no
now he
problem
has to shake
until
hands like that.
lately.
Yeah.
Right? Now you have to shake hands like
Now I have to shake hands like this. So the doctor told me, he says, shake with your left hand.
I know, but you won't.
Well,
Nice meeting you.
Nice meeting you. Have a good night.
Take
guys.
care.
Did you want to get trolley?
No, it's okay.
Did you see the one with the bombs coming out? They're on both sides. You have to flip them.
Oh, it's not.
I see the, I see these ones when you're hitting.
No, you actually see bombs.
Oh, really, Dad?
Yeah,
Okay, so let's see. Oh, these.
there.
There we go.
Oh,
And do you know where you're over here? Do you know what country you're over on these pictures?
Germany,
Germany.
Vienna, Munich,
so this was 1945 then, right?
44, 45. Yeah, it's the end. And they weren't through with me. After the war, we were supposed to go to Kansas and go on B-29 school and fight in
go
Japan.
Oh, in Japan, yeah, because first it was the war in Europe and then it was the war in Japan.
Japan.
War with Japan.
But then Truman, God bless Truman, he was the best thing in the world. He dropped that atom bomb and the
Yeah,
war ended.
yeah. Not
So
so much
then
for
I
Japan,
came
but.
home.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Kyle, do you have internet on your phone?
Yeah.
I'm curious about something real quick. I want you to bring up the picture.
Okay. There you go. I think. What were you guys bombing right there? Like a town? It looks like a town.
We did mostly railroad yards and, you ever hear of
Yeah.
Ploesti? The Ploesti oil fields in Romania?
Oh, cut off their.
Cut off their oil.
Supply. I know that like Germany was without. They're like extremely plentiful in oil and
Yeah.
gasoline. That was never a
Well,
problem for
the
them.
Ploesti was a real bad one. That's when we had to fly an extra low. Didn't have to wear any heated suit. Could have gone in shorts. You only fly like about 500 feet off the ground.
You have to make sure you hit it.
Yeah.
Wow.
And it was horrible. I remember being in the tail, I had the job of counting chutes. Airplanes would get shot and the guys would bail out sometimes. And Jack would say, count the chutes. So I see an airplane spinning and sometimes I didn't see any chutes. So all 9 of those guys died. And sometimes I see 2 or 3 chutes. But this one in Ploesti, you know what a Quonset hut is?
I don't.
It's a steel tube, half a tube, long. Take a
That's a
tube and
Quonset
cut
hut?
it lengthwise.
Never
And it's,
knew that.
Huh?
I never knew that's what that was called. I
well,
could picture
Quonset
it.
huts, we used to use them for barracks and stuff.
Yeah.
Well, they had Quonset huts at Ploesti. And I see the guys behind us. He's hit. I can see him smoking and everything, and he's going down. Now, from 500 feet to 0 is nothing. And I see him hit the Quonset hut head on. And the body of the airplane went into the Quonset hut, and the wings stayed out. I said, Jesus, isn't that... and I didn't think of the airplane. I thought it would stop in the Quonset hut. And as we kept going, the Quonset hut was receding. I see the nose of the airplane come out the other end.
Really?
Just about half of
Is he
it.
just sliding?
Just
Wow.
sliding in there.
He's lucky.
And then you see guys just diving, crashing. And at that height, you can't parachute. It's impossible.
Yeah.
You have to be at least 600 feet. So any airplanes that crashed on that mission, you can be sure those guys all died. And it's horrible.
And
So when you go back and you talk about it,
You can say talk. We're from New York. We talk about
we
things.
talk about it. You start thinking, Jesus, those guys, they were here yesterday and now they're all gone.
And what they missed out on families, and what they missed out on families, and
Yeah. Well, that's what she keeps saying. What if
can't
if I
imagine.
had sneezed at that particular time, I would have had my head blown off. I wouldn't be here.
No, I'm not sure how closely you saw the ME-109s.
Need me to.
Yeah.
Oh, close enough.
Did they look like the E
That's
models?
it. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Okay,
They-
because there's there's another model of it that there's also a picture of.
The 190.
Yeah, that's the E variant, and that's the F variant, which came after that. That was a successor.
Well, they all look alike to me. I didn't know the difference, but they're
You're
nasty.
very good at recognizing planes,
They're
though.
nasty airplane, very agile.
Yeah.
They also had a 163. You ever hear of the rocket plane that Germany?
Yes.
Oh,
We know that one.
You have heard of it?
oh yeah.
Nice. Those things were ridiculous. They only have 3 shots. They have 3 rockets. They fire 1 rocket to get up, and then they have 2 rockets to do what they want to do, and then they have to land. They're small. They would fit in this room easily. And you can't even track them. My turret wouldn't move fast enough to track them.
Yeah.
They go zip, they just disappear.
Oh, well, good thing they were kind of inaccurate, the rockets for that time.
Yeah, oh
Yeah.
yeah. Oh, they didn't do much damage because
That's why flak was, I think, your scariest.
flak was the thing that bothered me the most.
So is that more like the flak is more like the armor piercing type of thing?
That's
That
like the thing that they shot up and it would explode in the air.
Yeah, it explodes,
oh,
and
yeah,
you got
like you
shards
grab
of
that
steel
aircraft,
that
yeah.
come flying
Yeah.
out. And you can't do anything about them. And they come in groups of 4. When they fire the guns, they go 1, 2, 3, 4 in a step.
to
So
try
if
to-
you see one black puff way out there low, you
Yeah.
start saying, well, there's 3 more coming. And you see
Yeah.
boom, 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 boom.
Mhm.
Or it'd be above you, and sometimes on the side end would throw you over.
Mhm.
That's lousy stuff. And it's big. It's an 88.
Mhm.
You know, when that goes off,
Now, wait. So aren't the bombs actually held at the bottom of the plane? What happened if like it wouldn't really matter if the flak went through and hit the bombs because they're inactive, or could they actually like
They
literally
go.
blow up the whole plane?
they
from
go.
doing that?
I had pictures home of B-24s exploding because the flak hit the bomb bay, and that's it. There is no other course. It just disappears. Now, you don't even have to look for chutes because nobody's getting out of that one.
Mhm.
It's terrible.
Amazing.
That's something I used to do too, go down to the chute shack and check my chute.
It sounds like a club. It sounds like someplace fun. It's
Well,
not.
the guy,
The chute
they
shack.
unpack your chute and they lay it out on a long table and they repack it for you.
Make
If I
sure
was
that
interested,
nothing went through.
I didn't want the chute to not open. That would be a disaster.
No, it would have been in your case because you actually had to use it. Yeah.
Yeah.
What?
Well, you actually had to use it,
You had
so.
to use it once. You actually had to use your chute
Oh,
once.
yeah,
I
oh,
know.
sure.
Yeah.
And that woman got it.
You see this?
You
Took
know
your
what
stuff
they
and
wanted me to, they said toilet paper. Well, the Englishman told me that. He says, they'd like you to, if you come over this way again, drop toilet paper. They need that badly in these partisans. So when I got back, I said, we're going to go flying somewhere around Vienna. I said, we're going to pass near Viz? They don't know. So I took a whole box of toilet paper. And when we got near there, the engineer, the navigator says, we're getting close, Joe, if you want to dump that stuff. So I would open the hatch and where it went, who knew?
Hopefully somebody found it.
Somebody found, what the hell is all this toilet?
Rather that come through my house than a bomb.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, we played games. I used to play the guitar. The radio man was a musician, and he taught me how to play the guitar. I bought a guitar in Italy, and I took it on a mission one time. We used to use throat mics for speaking. You know, they didn't have the mic in the oxygen tank. You put this mic, 2 tubes here, and when you spoke, it would transmit. So I took the throat mic and put it on the guitar, and I would play chords.
It didn't freeze up there, huh?
No, that was on the way down. I used to bring lizards with me.
Oh no.
That's a boy thing.
Yeah, well,
You froze them, didn't
Italy was
you?
loaded with lizards. They're cute. They're only about that long. And I had one, and I took it in the airplane, and I laid him down. I don't know where the hell he went. And I saw him later on, but we were up at altitude, and he froze. And when I went to pick him up, his tail fell off. It broke off. But when we got back down, he got okay again, and he just hopped away.
Their tails come off as a defense mechanism.
I guess it is.
Yeah, they do. And you had a pet monkey too?
I bought a monkey for 50 cents. And it got the mange. It looked like a rat. It had no hair on it.
Aw.
Poor thing.
But I like the stories when you tell me that it was your crew was such a brotherhood too, because
Oh, yeah.
they would go on leave and well, you had a little bit too much to drink, and they
Yeah, I
all took
can't
care of
drink.
you.
I don't drink well.
To this day.
I either go to sleep or I get sick. So they had a party one time at our base because the whole base flew so many missions, and the government says we'll have a party, and they had booze, and stuff. And I drank, and I shouldn't have, and I ended up in I was going to call it the bathroom. It wasn't the bathroom. Next thing I know, all the other guys, 8 of them, are right on behind me with coffee. How you doing, Joe? You okay? Everything. Don't worry, we'll take care of everything. So they took care of us.
You were all boys. He
The
was going to get a
engineer-
tattoo until he heard the guy in the next room screaming.
Yeah.
And decided not to, right?
Yeah.
No tattoos to this day.
No tattoos.
Do you wish you had gotten one? A tattoo?
No, it doesn't bother me. As a matter of fact, my grandson's got, what does he have, a star?
Eric has it. Eric, well, he's like a marine. He's into marine life, so he has a shark and something else. And,
Oh, I didn't like that stuff.
yeah, I know he doesn't go for it. Nowadays, they like it's everybody's preference,
Oh, girls
but-
are doing it all
Yeah,
over.
I know.
None for me.
No, none for
No,
me either.
no.
No. The only reason why I say that is because when you get to be, no offense, when you get to be 92, they don't look so great.
Yes,
Do I look 92? Tell me the
You
truth.
don't look
No.
92, Dad. You don't. You don't look 92.
Where did the time go?
Yeah. So Dad was
But-
born in 1925, so you really were only 19 and 20 by the time
Yeah.
the war had ended. But
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Kyle, you were going to say? You wanted to ask a question?
No, I thought you were like in your 80s. Like
Thank you.
low 80s.
Yeah.
I wish.
That would make me in my 20s. No.
No, I can't. You see, I have to wear, these are Velcro shoes. I can't put socks on because I can't get down there. So I was going to have them tattoo a sock on me. But my daughter has to do that.
The key to is being young at heart. I always say that he was always outside with us. Always. He was always playing something with us. We were outside.
Yeah, we tried.
touch
I used to like
football,
snow
something,
and
yeah.
sledding. And,
Always being outside. And a good sense of humor.
well, why not? What else you
Everybody
got?
needs
What's the
that.
other option?
Exactly.
Do you still like snow?
No, not as much.
That's
Because
why
I can't get in it. I can't do anything,
Yeah.
They won't let me do
They
anything.
go to Arizona.
During the winter.
Yeah,
Well, not
Phoenix.
the whole winter,
Not the-
but we vacation
Yeah.
there, yeah. Someday maybe we'll spend half a year there.
I'm getting tired of that too now. I was afraid of flying for a long time when I came home.
Mm-hmm.
Having had these crash landings, you start thinking, these airliners, they don't do too well either, to me. But I happened to go to Key West for the company. I worked for Fairchild, and they were developing a torpedo for the Navy. And they used to shoot them down in
Key West.
Key West. And one of the guys that was there with the Navy, he was a pilot. He says, you can get your license through the government. I get credit. So I says, yeah, really? So I started taking flying lessons, and I got my license. So I used to fly, but not big airplanes, little ones, real little ones, Cubs. You know what a Cub is? Piper Cub.
Piper Cub.
Uh,
They're tiny.
It's tiny. It's just a guy in the front and a guy in the back. It's only about that wide.
You land them on the rear. You don't land them on the nose.
No, it has a tailwheel. And I used to take my wife to Danbury for breakfast,
Connecticut. Yeah.
Connecticut, from Long Island.
oh wow, so you fly over there? That's really fun.
Yeah, just fly, land, and
And then they had kids.
then we had kids. And my wife says, "You still want to fly? You got responsibilities now." So I gave it up. I was going to go for airline pilot, but I couldn't anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think nowadays the airline pilots actually do like really well, like high salaries and stuff too now, since it's like a big responsibility.
I
Yeah.
know.
All
Yeah,
those
they
people.
do. The pilot that was his his crew's pilot, did work for
He worked
Eastern
for
Airlines,
Eastern
which was an
Airlines.
old airline at the time that went out of business. But he was, he flew.
Yeah, he did.
I think he flew domestic. I don't think he was international.
He went to Cuba
Yeah, when you could go to Cuba.
when you could go.
Yeah. Unfortunately, he has Alzheimer's now, so he doesn't really remember anything.
He doesn't know anything.
And my father was the youngest member of the crew, and there was the oldest member of the crew just passed away at 99.
Yeah, Leroy, the nose gunner.
And I was gonna, so
He was from Ottumwa, no, he was from Sigourney.
Sigourney, Iowa. Yeah.
The guy in the end.
Oh, wow.
He just
He's
passed away.
98.
I thought he had just turned 99.
The
99.
what about, you said that your captain was 26 at the time.
Mhm.
What? When did he? He's not still.
Alive.
Like how long is he? Yeah. When did he pass away?
He didn't. He has Alzheimer's right now. So
Oh,
he's
when his
in-
wife comes to see him, he
Yes,
keeps
did
saying,
pass away.
"Oh, you're a
He's
pretty
just-
He's in
lady."
his like.
Doesn't know who she is.
No,
Oh.
he's not. How old is Jack now,
90.
though? He's got to be in his 90s. Obviously older
Oh,
than you.
Oh, yeah, he's
But he
old.
wasn't as old as Leroy, so I'd say he's probably about 98 now.
Yeah, he's
96,
gotta be
97,
98.
yeah.
Wow.
They were all up there.
Well, they all passed away.
They all passed away.
Except for Jack, but he doesn't
Yep.
remember anything.
Don Little died, Brad Boyd, Charlie, this jerk.
Who was the guy who called that day and you were at work?
Charlie. He
Charlie.
called my house and he wanted to talk to me. And my wife says, well, he's at work. He says, well, I just wanted to say hello, you know. And 2 days later, he died. I'm sorry I didn't get to talk to him. But he was a little bit nutty.
Lesson learned. Pick up the
He
phone.
was a ladies' man, you know. And in Italy, what else you gonna do? And he used to, since I could speak some Italian, I am basically Italian descendant. He says, come on, we go to town. We weren't flying that day, so we go to town, and he's got this girlfriend that in town, and he bought her, what was it, a ring or something?
Really? I don't know this story.
And he's making out with her, but he's not serious. She is. When you go in an Italian house that has a girl in it, you're going to have 4 or 5 aunts, 6 or 7 uncles, some brother-in-laws, and the place is like a party. And the girl is sitting in the middle, and you don't get near her. So Charlie goes over there, and right away they get offensive. And he gives her this thing, and then that ended. We came back, and the next thing you know, Charlie says, I want my ring back. I think it was a ring.
Oh.
I said, well, you gave it to her. What are you going to do? He said, come on, we'll go get it. I said,
Oh.
wishful thinking. So we go back there, and now he's trying to make me discuss with the father and the mother, you know, and I can't say it either. They says, oh, no, that's hers. Charlie, he was 6 foot something, you know.
Really?
He was a big guy. He says, I want my ring back.
Oh my
So I
goodness.
says, Charlie, let's get out of here. Now we're on the first floor of this house, which is really a floor and a half. Like out of the window would have been like a 6 or 7 foot drop to the sidewalk. So I'm already planning. I'm not going to get killed in this house. Charlie wants to stay. I'm leaving through that window, which I did.
You did?
Yeah, I left through the
Oh
window.
my goodness.
And
Wow.
he's right behind me.
Yeah.
Because they were coming after him.
Yeah, because there's too many.
Yeah, you don't want to
Yeah,
mess
you don't
around
mess
with that.
an Italian family. Wow. That's fun. But you left your sweetheart at home.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I think isn't that what a lot of people did? They went off to war, they came back, and they got married, or they got married then left.
Yeah.
Well, no, you didn't get married. I had to go ask my father-in-law for permission to marry my girlfriend.
That's
And he
scary.
was still in bed. I said, I want to marry Mary. He says, why don't you wait till you get back from the war? He says, because that wasn't over yet. I had gotten over. So he made sense, you know. What if you get killed and then you marry, you
Yeah.
know? So I had to wait till I got back.
Yeah.
And she was still there waiting, at least.
Yeah?
Oh, yeah, she's.
Oh
And
yeah, I had a
after-
wedding. It was
yeah.
what they call a sandwich wedding. It was.
It was. It was
The
nothing
sandwiches
but
were, the relatives wrapped sandwiches in wax paper. Yeah, bologna, salami, cheese, And then they would be throwing them. What do you got there? Salami. Wait, I'll give you a... Honestly.
That sounds like the funnest way.
Right, I know.
And the beer was in kegs.
Yeah. It's like a great
The
party.
music came from a radio that was about that big.
My mother was stunning in a gorgeous
Oh,
satin
yeah.
gown with the real buttons all the way up, you know, and all the way, and it was gorgeous. She weighed 89 pounds
Yep.
when she got married. She was the tiniest little thing and beautiful. But then you got on the subway.
When we got married, it was at a hall, I forget what it was. And who had a car? Nobody owned cars in those days. So the wedding ended, and we had to get back to my mother-in-law's house where Mary was living at the time. And we had no way to get there. So we had to get on a trolley car. She's
Oh,
in a
trolley
gown,
car.
and I'm in a dress thing, sitting in a trolley car. Nickel a piece, take a ride. Feels stupid. Now, I think about it. People must have been laughing at us.
Adorable. Yeah, but you made it home.
And
That
we
was
went
the
to
goal.
Niagara
Niagara Falls.
Niagara Falls, a hotel, not a motel, a hotel. One bathroom for 3 bedrooms. And they were all occupied. We had one and there were 2 others. You had to knock on a door to use the bathroom.
Oh
Great
my
honeymoon, huh?
goodness. Yeah.
Really.
It was pretty rough.
I can imagine. But you boys know a lot about planes, huh? Do you
Yeah.
learn a lot
You like
in
planes.
school, or?
There's a game that we both play
Really?
that's centered around World War II planes.
Seriously?
No
Yeah.
kidding.
So
What
this-
type of planes?
And, fighters, bombers, anything.
P-51s,
Oh, yeah.
P-39s, P-38s.
Mhm.
Yep.
That was my
Oh, fun.
favorite, the P-38.
I find the whole idea of the Tuskegee Airmen so unique and interesting, being African American, and you don't have to look too far, because even in my lifetime it was a very different world for African Americans. But they
Yeah.
were brilliant and dedicated and fabulous airmen.
And you know
said
what?
that, you know,
They
when-
didn't look like the typical
No,
black
they
man.
were, but they were educated and they were
Smart.
They were
They all
smart
had
and-
little mustaches.
But
Mhm.
you said that as soon as you saw one, you knew everything was like okay. Like they never left your side.
They never
were
left our side.
dedicated and
You get other guys, other pilots, P-51s, you know, they as soon as the flag started, they disappear. Or you see another bunch of fighters, they amble away. These guys that say,
I'm so
stay away
impressed.
from
It's
Big
so
Brother.
remarkable,
And they
yeah.
would put you, they would come right up against the side of our plane. I could look at just like from here to there. Well, not quite because there's a wing between us,
Yeah.
but it was close. I could see his eyes, and he would give me a salute. I thank God for you.
Yeah, really.
They were good guys, but they all looked like. You remember Harry Belafonte?
No, they wouldn't remember Harry Belafonte.
They all
very
looked.
debonair, very dashing.
They looked debonair. They were
handsome.
sharp guys.
Yeah, they were.
Yeah,
yeah.
they were good.
Unfortunately, I think one of the last ones just passed away.
Yeah, matter of fact, I saw one at Brookhaven Lab. He came in and gave a talk.
But
And,
yeah.
I was going to ask him if he had been there, but then we got
It's really
separated.
interesting. Had you ever heard of the B-24 Liberator before?
Yes.
You had.
Yep, that's in the
yeah.
game too.
Yeah, interesting.
Good airplane. I think it was pretty. I liked it better than the B-17. The B-17 could fly higher than us, but it couldn't fly faster,
Right.
and it couldn't carry as much as our plane. So we had it. I thought we had it made.
Did you get dog tags in the Air
Oh
Force?
yeah, sure.
Yeah, these are my grandfather's.
Really?
Yeah, he was an MP soldier
Oh my gosh.
at the end of 1945.
Wow.
So he went to Okinawa and then he
Can't
went
read
to North Korea.
Did he really? Oh my
Wow, that's really
gosh,
special.
that is
Wow.
amazing, right?
What does that say? See?
That's yeah.
Is that yeah, that's a C.
That's-
Catholic.
Is it?
Is it maybe? I
That's-
think that might have been a religious indication, but I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, it was
They-
on mine.
They stopped doing that after the war. They
Did
put
they?
that like on your birth certificate, like your religion.
Yeah.
And that's how it's so
Thank you.
easy for them to spot who's Jewish and who's not. They
Right.
literally have the
The dog tags,
documents
right?
right there.
Yeah.
So
Oh yeah, and the medal too.
yeah, he's
That's remarkable.
he's not around anymore, but he didn't die in the war. He died at 71 from
Oh wow.
complications and stuff like that.
That is so special though.
When
There's
we
a-
went
That
on
is
missions,
really
we never
impressive.
took dog tags with us. And as a matter of fact, our pilot used to give us lieutenant's wing, a lieutenant's bars to put on. Because if you dropped on the enemy territory, they had two places, the officers and the enlisted men. Enlisted men got cracked. The officers usually got treated better. So he figured if you go down as an officer, they'll put you with officers. So I used to have lieutenant's bars and pilot's wings. So we never carried dog tags or a wallet. Everything had to stay back at the base. So that, unfortunately, I never got picked up.
It's a very
Yeah,
special
that would
thing
have
to
been-
have.
That would have been really scary.
Yeah,
Yeah, you know, as if, yeah.
I was told the outfit was somewhere around my grandmother's house, but she just passed away, and they're selling the house. And we're never able to find the suit, but we have these, and I'm happy I have them
That's wonderful, I know.
because I didn't get to meet him. So
Yeah,
it's
that's
too
very
bad.
special.
What
I
am I
have-
doing?
I don't know. I don't know that I ever remember having them.
Yeah, there's
My father did come home with a bomber jacket that he had flown in, and my mom threw it away because he was changing the oil with it. You know, like it was the 50s, and he's changing the car oil, and it just got really ratty. And we ended up getting him a new one a couple of years ago.
Yeah, nice.
From the same company that was making them back then. So yeah, they're really kind of neat with the fleece. But I don't really think you had dog tags.
Yeah, I've seen them.
Well,
don't
I know your number, 3299317. I don't know why I've always remembered that, but so they must be somewhere.
You know, sometimes you get called for a specific mission, like a nuisance mission. The idea is to keep the enemy awake all night long. You know, you don't want them to get rested, so they'd send a plane over, and they don't know if it's got bombs or whatever. So they come out of, they go down into their their holes and all. And we got called one night. Jack says, we're leaving. I said, where the hell are we going? It was a nuisance mission. And I forget where we had to go. But you're alone, just one plane, at night, obviously. And it seemed like fun. And but all of a sudden, you're in an airplane, it's black. I mean, there's no lights inside the airplane, and it's night, so you don't see anything. And all of a sudden, it's like in here. It's daylight. These big lights they have down on the ground, these
Spotlights.
big Klieg lights, and they got you spotted. And it comes, and I said, what?
Oh, I know.
And they start shooting at you. But you can do things. You're not obligated to stay straight. And if you don't hang on, he'll throw you out of the airplane. But you hang on, and he racks it. A B-24 doing this is something.
I bet.
Because you end up on the ceiling of the plane.
Did you ever know whether or not you were motion sick before you were enlisted?
No.
Well, that's something that happened. Being motion sick during that.
I couldn't imagine.
I was having it on every single time we went out.
Yeah.
That would be bad.
I'm prone to it myself, so I couldn't imagine. But you never are. You're fine. So I was just.
I think when you're younger, you have that kind of on your side.
Yeah,
the
I
being-
know.
so
Well, they gave me a birthday present. On the island, there's a small airport,
Oh yeah.
One by
In West
Cat.
Hampton, yeah.
and they gave me a birthday present of a flight. Oh, you must know what the steerman is. The double wing steerman trainer, 2 wing. It's yellow.
Is it a World War II plane or World War I?
It's a training plane for
Oh,
World War II.
I don't know what that is.
Anyway, it's a radial engine. It sits out in the air. There's no cowling on it. It's a nice airplane, believe me, but it's small, front and back. So I get to this guy, and he says, I hear you have a ticket, I have a license. I said, yeah, but I haven't done anything with it. So we take off and go over the ocean, and he says, do what you want to do, what do you want to do? I said, what the hell am I going to do? So I got the stick, and I'm doing everything, doing all of this, and lazy eights, and he says, hey, you still got it. Nah, I was sloppy. I didn't use the rudder pedals properly. But I loved it. I said, oh, this is the way to go. Wow.
The other thing we did was we got you a flight in a glider.
And a glider.
Ooh,
That
that's
was interesting.
Yeah, no sound.
These,
Well,
Yeah, you get towed up.
you get towed up. The front, it was a beautiful airplane. It was an Englishman and his son. They had and the wife, she was taking care of the money. But they tow you up to about, 3,000 or 4,000 feet. And I was in the front, and he says, when I give you the signal, you pull this knob and you disconnect from you from the tow plane. And he says, always keep yourself above the tow plane. Don't ever try to get below it. So I had to keep pulling back to stay up. And he says, okay, let's release. So I pulled this, looked like a little ball. I pulled it, and now you can feel the difference. And then, of course, he goes away, and then we're just gliding. It's quiet.
So
And
just slowly work your way down.
well, you try to get thermals if you can. But on Long Island, there are not many thermals you can catch. I caught a couple. And then you just do what you want to do. You can do anything you want with a glider. You can loop, you can slow roll, you can do anything you want.
I didn't know that are you like strapped in and stuff and it's holding it on, or I didn't know that they're that maneuverable.
Yeah, they are. They are. But you don't want to go crazy. You don't want to go skydiving down. But you can go 90 degrees. You know, you can do loops. Loops are quick because it's a short coupled airplane. For the wing, which is like 90 feet, the body is only like about 40 feet. So it's close coupled, if you know what I'm saying. When you pull back on the stick, the airplane goes zoop. It's quick. Whereas a regular airplane, it takes a while to get over.
Yeah.
I enjoyed that too.
I know you did. He asked to take lessons recently. I said no. I'm a party pooper.
As a matter of fact, I was doing some work at Republic Airfield as a guide at the museum there.
That's on Long Island where we're from.
That's on Long Island.
Yeah, it's in...
And I was telling people about this airplane, that airplane. And the next hangar, they were renting airplanes. You know, they had a place. So during lunchtime, I walked over. I says, you know, how much? When I rented airplanes at the when I got my license, it was like $6 for an hour. Which I didn't have $6 to tell you the truth, but it was cheap. So I said, how much to rent a plane? $129 per hour. And you can't go alone. I said, why not? He said, we don't want to lose an airplane. Because I told him how old I was. He says, well, are you active? I said, yeah, I've got my license and I can fly. I said, not for $129 an hour.
Yeah. So what they mean by somebody coming with you as like a co-pilot type of thing? Just to
No, he just sits in a plane. He says you wouldn't even know he's there, but he has to be there. He's a pilot. If you faint or if you pass out, he can at least land it. But I wasn't planning on passing out.
No one plans on passing out.
Well, you probably wouldn't after everything that's happened before. And you
Yeah,
got
why
so-
would I? You can, maybe at my age now, you know, if I stand up quick, you know what I'm saying? I get dizzy because the blood rushes so fast. Maybe now I probably wouldn't try any stunt like that. But when I was younger, I could do that.
Was that a problem, like people passing out while jumping out of a plane? Do people pass out when doing
Sure. If they get frightened. Case, we had a kid. I got to know him. He was from out west, and he used to roller skate in the barracks. Noisy, you know. You got wood floors and skates, and he'd go up and down. Tall, lanky kid. And then, of course, then we went overseas, and he was at the same base I was at, but on the other side. And one time, they said, there's a guy coming in, they're going to bail out over the field because he can't land. And I didn't know who was in that plane, but it happened to be that kid. And I didn't know when he came out, but the guy that came out never opens his chute. He landed feet first, and we went, I didn't go there to see the body, but we found out later that his head ended up in his chest. When he hit feet first, everything collapsed. But it must have been quick, I hope.
So he passed out. Is that what happened?
I hope he passed that. That's what I always say now in these jets, 35,000 feet. And I'm thinking, Jesus, what a long way down.
I don't try not to think about it. I swear that I could, if I had to jump out of a plane, it would have to be tandem, because I think I would be that
Yeah.
person who would pass out or freeze and not be able to pull the ripcord.
I mean, because what happens if you pull it too early? It's just not going to open.
Well, it would open
a
at that
long way.
altitude, but you might run out of that 2 pounds of oxygen and you would die in your chute. That's why I waited till I came through the clouds and I could see
Yeah.
ground. I said, I think now I can
You're
rip
lucky
it.
that you had your wits about you to even do that, even though they did have to pry the ripcord off your
Are you-
hand.
Yeah, I had that son of a gun.
Are you like drenched after you come through the clouds? Or is that like a
Yeah, you get wet, yeah. It's water, it's like a cloud, like a fog, a
Well-
very heavy fog.
well, yeah, because if you were to open your parachute while you're going through that, I mean,
Good question.
if that would actually,
I
if
don't-
it's too thick.
That's a good question. It's an
I don't
excellent
know.
question, Val. I don't know.
I never spoke to anybody that went
Let's get you back up there and try it. No.
bad enough.
I know, really.
And everybody in the crew had to fly the bomber. We all had to learn how to keep it level.
Mm.
I didn't realize that, but Jack Coley says, "Okay, Joe, come on up here." I said, "What the hell's going on?" So the co-pilot got out and he says, "Sit there," and he says, "It's a wheel, you know, and there's no boost. When you want to turn a bomber, it's like driving a truck. I mean, a heavy truck. You got to really turn the wheel. Today, it's all boosted. You just go, zip, zip, and the airplane does it." So I sat there, and he said, "All right, make a right turn." And I thought the thing was nailed. It doesn't move. He says, "You got to really pull on it and push the right, the rudder pedal." So I turned, and it went. And he says, "Maintain altitude." He says, "Okay, go back." Next guy. So we all had to try flying the plane.
Yeah.
And
Fun.
what was the name? How did they used to call your crew for a mission?
More Crew and Gore.
More Crew and Gore. So the name of the pilot was Jack Moore. So it was
Jack
More Crew, and they had a.
If you were in a plane and you got shot down and you lost your crew and you're the only one living, you still had to fly your required missions. So this kid Gore had about 4 or 5 missions to go, and he was put in with us to fly. He couldn't do anything. He just sat there.
Did you really believe that though? We just didn't send him home. They still made him get in a plane.
Wow.
But More Crew and Gore, and you
More
used to
Crew
go.
and Gore,
Oh,
and you
God.
hate to hear. There's a corporal comes by. I happen to be a staff sergeant because I was whatever. But anyway, he'd come by and he'd tap on your tent. "More Crew and Gore, you're up." Oh, God. Didn't want to hear
I
that.
can imagine.
I remember we had to I forgot what it was called, but we had to read this book. It wasn't really more of a book; it was sort of like more like a section from a book that was talking about the different pilots that would fly certain bombers, and they had their required missions. But they're like, yeah, the only way you could get out of doing that is if you're you have to. It was like an endless cycle of like saying that there's no way you can get out of it. Pretty much of saying that you can only get out if you're claim that you're not crazy.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
If you're not crazy, but
Section
you'd have to be
8.
crazy enough
Catch
to fly the
22.
plane.
They used to
Yeah.
call that Section 8.
Yeah.
Section 8.
Guys did it.
Yeah.
I knew a couple that said, "I'm not flying anymore."
Mm.
And I don't know what they did, put them in jail. We took off one time. We started the engines. You're in the hard track. And there's a ground crew, and they got the fire extinguishers. The engine starts, and it catches fire. So the pilot shuts it down. Now, in the meanwhile, the rest of the 7 airplanes are taking off.
Yeah.
So they come with this hard thing, and they take the cowling off, and they did, I don't know what the hell they were doing in there, but they said, "Okay, it's good to go." So they close it all up, and we're the last ones to take off. As soon as we take off, the engine catches fire. Unbelievable. So now of course, Don Little was gone. He left. He bailed out already.
Good old Don.
And Jack says, "Well, we're going to have to go back." Now that's a downwind landing. You know anything about, you don't want to land downwind because you want the wind to help you slow down.
Mm.
So we go out over the water a little bit at Adriatic. He turned around flat, dropped the bombs in the Adriatic, because you don't want to land with bombs on them. And we came in downwind and screeching, brakes were smoking, and we're all the way to the end of the runway. We almost came off the end of the runway. And we couldn't go up anymore. That mission was, we didn't get credit, obviously.
Well,
the G is coming in, I think it's interesting.
you ended up dropping the bombs, you said, but
Oh.
You-
Like this, it was like.
you weren't able to? I thought you said you...
Yeah, thankfully it's a long
What?
way.
that you did have to drop the bombs and then go back? or they
Well,
let
you don't want to land with bombs in the bomb bay.
Well, yeah,
First of all, it's a lot of weight, you're going downwill, so you want to get rid of all of that.
yeah,
So actually the pilot does that, he hits a switch, bomb bay doors open and all the bombs fall in the water. But they're safe, the propeller is still on them. But the airplane is lighter and it takes less time to stop it, you know, it just skid. It was good.
yeah. Well, if you didn't drop those bombs, you would have went off the runway. Most
Oh,
definitely.
sure, you do ground loops. If the wind is, there's only one runway. You know,
Yeah.
nowadays they have cross runway.
Multiple. Yeah.
And if you gotta make a crosswind landing, you have to do what they call a crab. You point the airplane into the wind that's coming this way and push the opposite rudder. So the airplane is going like this.
Oh, that's scary.
It's crabbing. And at the very last minute, you have to straighten out. If you don't straighten out the last
Yeah.
minute, those wheels are gonna be screaming because they're going across the runway. And most likely you're gonna do what they call a
I'll be right back. I forgot I have supplies. I need to bring them. I'll be right back.
oh, okay. Yeah, you ground loop. The wing goes down and it touches and you make a big spin around. I don't know anybody that's never scared. All of these guys, they could tell you, yeah, well, it was okay, but they were shaken sometimes. I got my license in 1951. I guess were you all born yet?
No.
I don't think my parents were born
I
yet.
think Grammy.
Oh my
I think
God,
Grammy.
I'm an antique.
Yeah, he is his age.
Yeah, we have our great grandfather. I don't know if he. I think he was in the. Wasn't he in the army for a period of time? I think
Is
he
he
was
still
in
with
the,
us, is he?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
Very
give
active.
him my regards.
Yeah.
Good for him.
Grammy's side of the family, her dad.
Mhm.
He was the one that was in the army.
Yes,
I don't
he
know
was.
what he did.
Yeah, he was. And he
And
got
then-
a lot of tattoos on his arm, but then I never knew him to have tattoos because he had them removed.
Did have him removed?
Did.
Really? I didn't know they could do that.
Yeah.
I think it's even many times more painful than actually getting a tattoo.
That's what I've heard.
Serves you right.
I will
Yeah.
never find out, but that's what I've heard. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was going to get a tattoo. One of the crew. We were in Mississippi, and we went in to get a tattoo
The same one on each person, or
on the person. Yeah, but, and we went in there. The dinky place. The place was obscene, and we were waiting there. We're trying to think of what we're going to get, you know. And I hear screaming in the next room. Evidently, the guy wasn't good at it, and he was hurting the guy. So I looked at. I think I was with this guy, the waist gun. I says, "Let's get the hell out of here."
yeah.